All right, guys, so welcome back to part 2, I guess, and this is going to be taxiing and the takeoff procedures. So we're just pushed back, and we're going to go ahead and say that we've just started our engines, so we're going to take it from there. All right, so the APU is automatically shut off, so it's been taken off the, it's just been turned off, and the way it turns off is if you turn the APU bleed from on to off, after a few seconds, the entire APU will shut off if you started it the way that we started it in the last tutorial by clicking the APU power. So turn all the engines on, turn the bleed to the APU off once the engines are on, and the APU will turn itself off. Now we can go ahead and set our flaps. So if you guys remember, we had a flex of 59, flap 10 with trim of 5.1. So the flex has been set. Let's go ahead and set up our trim. So we're just going to go over here. And it looks like the trim's actually already been set 5.1, but you can use this with your electric trim nose up, nose down, or you can use it and set it with this. But we're just gonna make sure it's 5.1, 1. All right, so looking at the flap, you're gonna see that we're flap 10, but we have a flap up 0, 28, 35, 50. There's no flap 10, but we have this thing over here, which is dial a flap. So we actually can set any flap setting we want inside this number. So why don't we go ahead and move our flap past the 0. So there's 1 click, there's 2 clicks. Now we're in the dial a flap setting. We're going to dial flap 10. And notice the flaps and slats are out, and we have flap 10 selected. Okay, next we can go in front here and do our auto brakes to the takeoff position. Now while we're here, a little bit of a weird click spot, you can press the spoiler to arm it right there. All right, guys, so looking at our SID, we're going to be going up to 7,000 feet. So I've set in 7,000 feet in our altitude pre-selector. And then the heading we're going to put in initially is 081, which will be the runway heading. So 081. Should have done this from before, but in the time of the recording, I've a little bit of lag. I've restarted since I've filmed the first video. So 7,000 feet, 081. We'll leave 250 over here. What we're also going to do is we're going to click a couple things. So we got to get our takeoff setup done here. So we're going to click auto flight, and that's going to take away the box for takeoff clamp, which is basically going to allow us to do auto thrust on takeoff. We're going to click nav. So now our LNAV is armed. So it's going to be in takeoff mode, but after takeoff mode, it's going to go to nav armed, and it's going to do LNAV, and it's going to go to on our course. And then we're going to click prof. And now the prof is armed. So basically what we've done is we've basically armed our toga mode. In a sense, we've armed our LNAV mode and we've armed our VNAV mode by clicking auto flight arms the toga mode. So you know in the 737 you get in the runway, you spool up the power, and then you press toga. Well, we're pressing toga now, and then once we get to the runway, you advance your thrust levers past 70%, and the takeoff auto thrust takes over because it's already armed. The nav is armed and performance is armed. All right, last but not least, just make sure we have the correct lighting on here. So once we're got our taxi clearance, we can go ahead and put our taxi lights to taxi. And if you're at nighttime, you can throw your logo light on as well. Oh, and something that didn't happen in the restart of the airplane, put the seatbelts back on. All right, well, just like any airliner, the MD-11 steers with a tiller. Now, I don't own a tiller, so I'll be using my rudder pedals, and as I go left and right, the nose gear will be moved by my rudder pedals. You can do this with a twist stick or a keyboard command as well. Alrighty, so you made it to runway 8 left. We're just going to go ahead and line up. Now for the lineup, if you're just cleared to line up, you're going to go high intensity approach or lights on, which are your strobe lights. You're going to come down here and turn your transponder to TARA for traffic and resolution. And that's about it. They might have in their SOPs maybe the flight attendants if you were flying with passengers and that kind of stuff, but on a cargo operation, we're not going to do that. And then once you're cleared for takeoff, So once you're cleared for takeoff is when you're going to go ahead and put your lights on. So when they say clear takeoff, you can go and throw your lights on, and we'll turn our runway turnoffs on as well. Now I'll stress that that's what I do. That might not be a real SOP for the MD-11, but that's what I do. As a little reminder to myself that we're cleared for takeoff. And it's what we do in the RJ is throw the landing lights on when you're cleared takeoff. Okay, we're going to use as much runway as possible, so I'm just going to come to the left a little bit here. And then I'm going to do a hard right turn to get as much runway as I can. And then we're going to talk about the takeoff procedure. Alrighty, so we're sitting here on the runway. Everything is ready to go. The takeoff procedure is quite simple. All you're going to do is you can, I don't know what what N1 they would check, but you're going to run these engines up. We'll say at 50% N1 just to make sure everything's stable. And then you're going to continue advancing your thrust manually to about, keep going through 70%. And through 70%, the auto thrust system should engage. And then the throttle will move by itself into the setting you need. So today it'll be 98.1 with the flex. So you'll bring it to about here, and the auto thrust system will bring it to the rest to the actual N1 setting, and then for the rest of the flight as well. And it'll follow all restrictions on route, speed restrictions, all sorts of stuff. You can see here that it's bugged for 153 currently, which is the V2. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to take the parking brake off. We're going to advance the thrust levers here, about 50. Alrighty, and then we're just going to keep advancing it. And there, I'm not doing that. It's taking it by itself. We have takeoff thrust, and it's armed for, and we're going to 7,000 feet. We still have nav and performance armed. So LNAV and VNAV are armed. There's 300 knots. This is V1. Rotate. And we're going to pitch up about 18 to 21 degrees. Just follow this flight director. Up, 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 up. And we're going to take this right turn. Positive rate. Get the gear up. Now we're in nav 1. So we're in LNAV mode. And then simply, if you want the autopilot, you can just press the auto flight button. Autopilot 1. So now we're in 163 pitch. So it's going to start, it's sped up a little bit. Now it's going to start speeding up because we're past our acceleration altitude to 210. We're in LNAV mode, nav 1, and we're in climb thrust. So VNAV climb thrust. Now it's alert you from 6,000 to 7,000. It's accelerating to 250, so we can go ahead and bring our flaps to the 0 position. Alrighty, now let's say we want to go higher. There's a couple ways we can do this. Let's dial this up to, we'll do 9,000 feet to start. So we could do 9,000, and I didn't click anything else. It just went right into it's still in VNAV mode. It said vert alert here earlier, which means the vertical speed is going to start either climbing or descending. And now it's armed for, and it's going to be doing hold 9,000. 8 for 9,000. The other way you can do it, you can see it wants me at, the SID wants me here at 10,250, is we can also scroll this to 10,000 and then pull like the Airbus. And now it's climb thrust 10,000, and it's going to go right to climb thrust. When you pull this, it's like open climb in the Airbus or open descent and flight level change in the Boeings. All right, let's go ahead and disarm our spoiler and bring our auto brakes back to off. And then lights wise, we can just get rid of our runway turnoffs for the time being. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial today. I hope to see you in the next one where we cover a little bit more about the autopilot, and we'll also be covering the landing. Bye-bye for now.